Right, well, those TV recommendations were killer. Speaking of, we've just watched a new movie. Could you give us a summary of it, please?
So we have seen David Fincher's The Killer this week as our new film. Very new, in fact, that it's had a very limited release in cinemas.
Yes, and then it's on Netflix on Friday.
Friday, yeah. So we've very much struggled to actually catch this week, but we got there in the end. Killer is about a killer for hire, played by Mr. Fassbender, who doesn't have a name throughout. I think he just is known as the Killer.
He's just called the Killer, yeah.
And it starts off with him in Paris, and he talks a lot, and then he tries to do a hit that goes wrong, and that kicks off the plot. Is him.
Whoa! We're not talking about Le Samurai yet. We're talking about the Killer.
And because he missed, there are repercussions.
Yeah, he does successfully shoot the man in the chest in the Samurai. He just gets seen because he does it in a very public way. Anyway, let's come back to the Killer.
And because he missed, there are some very dangerous repercussions to him and his family, which leads him on a trail of revenge to not only find out who did these things to him that I won't say, but also who set him up to do that and who he can get back on.
Yeah.
What did you think?
It was pretty good. It's not. I wouldn't say it's typically my sort of film because it's there's not really any It's pretty straight. It's pretty just like serious action and serious sort of drama with behind the scenes organizations and people being all serious like that sort of John Wick, and also like loads of action, loads of things like this aren't really my sort of thing. And just like macho characters and but it was pretty good. But it's not, like I said, it's not something I would ever watch if I weren't forced to do a podcast episode on it. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, it is so well directed and so well shot.
Oh, well, of course, it's David Fincher. That's part of why you're going to get something out of it. Like Mank, I hated, but I thought it looked stunning.
Yeah. So David Fincher, obviously Fight Club, Seven, Social Network. Matt's favourite film, Mank. It's based on a French graphic novel series by the same name.
The M is upside down.
And adapted by Andrew Kevin Walker. The DOP was Eric Messerschmidt, who did Mank.
I thought the lighting of The Killer was boring as hell.
The lighting of The Killer?
I thought it was really dull looking.
I had a note about that. I was going to say that there were some scenes that I was like, that's really cool.
Oh, it looks cool.
The scene that comes to mind is the one in Florida. So we're not going to spoil why. But the one in Florida where he goes to see the man about the dog. I was going to say that was lit just enough that you had enough information as an audience to understand what was going on, that really set the tone and made use of those practical in-scene lights. So like there's a telly that they use as a way to light them for a bit, or there's an open door into a bathroom that then gives them a bit more light, that you're kind of messing around with sources in the house rather than it just being lit. Just
that is very clever, actually. That's true. Yeah, I was meaning more like the colours and it was a bit flat, but in terms of the creativity of that, absolutely, that's very, very cleverly done. What's the guy's name?
The DOP, Eric Messerschmidt. He also did Ferrari, which is coming out soon. Something else that I liked as well. So a big kind of device for how this film is laid out is it's a world-hopping story. So it starts in Paris, but the hit goes wrong,
which is another thing that I don't really like about movies.
So it's a very simple way of keeping it moving. You're never in the same place twice, other than his home, I think. But
I think that's right. Yeah,
I thought it was so quick, and I felt the editing was good. I thought that it was done by Kirk Baxter, who's done Gone Girl, Social Network, Mank. So just another like Fincher classic. And I think that showed. I don't think there was any time wasted. What he wanted on screen was what was shown. But like you said,
how many places did he go? It was like Paris, Dominican Republic,
Florida,
New Orleans,
New
York at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Chicago.
and then back
So
to the
it goes-
Dominican Republic. But similarly to the second film we're going to talk to, I talk about it was very simple. There's not a lot beneath the hood going on. Right. The first scene,
and in fact, like you said, you mentioned like the main guy is just called the killer.
Yeah.
Like very much like out of 10, protagonist. Basically, no character in this had names. Some of them did, but like a lot of like Tilda Swinton's character. What do they call her? She was like
the expert.
She was the something.
The expert?
It was something like that as well.
Mm.
Yeah, there was a bunch of characters who didn't have names.
Yeah.
It was very stripped back, almost like archetypal characters.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think
I mean it's mainly part of the reason why I wasn't too invested, because I didn't really know who they were, because we weren't meant to know who they were.
Yeah, well, yeah, like you said, kind of that underbelly world. Yeah, I think as soon as you go in that first scene, I'm sure you've seen it in the trailer. It's him in this unfinished building as he's scoping out the place he's going to carry the hit out on. And it's just him talking, like it's just a long monologue of...
The trailer is literally a monologue, and then him...
Yeah, and watching that...
Introducing what he does, who he is.
Watching that, it is you're right, it's essentially the trailer. Watching that, you're like, oh, okay, so this is very strictly who he is. He's going to be not that. And it was so, like, cut and dry that there weren't any twists in it. It was just as expected. You knew what was going to happen. It sets you up for one thing, and you get that at the end.
Yeah, it was
very straightforward.
Definition of a story arc is a character
definition
arc
of a film. It was a film.
Of a film. I think so. Yeah, it was. If I were to use a word to describe it, it would probably be film or maybe movie.
It had lovely Michael Fassbender as the killer.
I thought his accent sucked though. Like in his X-Men films where he's like meant to be American.
Yeah.
Like I really didn't work. I guess in X-Men it's not too bad because like Ian McKellen's accent also sucked. He was all over the place. Sometimes American, sometimes English. So I guess if he's playing a younger version of the same character. And also Eric Lynch's like German. But yeah, Michael Fassbender really can't do an American accent.
There weren't really any co-leads, anything like that. It was literally just him.
No,
and as he bounced from place to place.
He'd meet a person and then he'd meet another person and meet another person. Yeah.
Wish there was more Tilda Swinton. I know she's headed in this.
Every movie.
But yeah. Tilda Swinton's in it for maybe 2 scenes. One sequence, and then she doesn't come back again, and it's towards the end of the film, which is a shame. She doesn't even play the big bad.
I thought she would do. From I thought there'd be like a twist that she was
the killer.
That she was the killer all along, and Michael Fassbender hadn't actually killed anyone. Now there's a movie like
that's a twist.
He thinks he's a hitman, but it's all blanks, and like he hasn't actually killed anyone. They're all alive.
He's the fool guy.
I don't know. Yeah, that's it. There we go.
Sorted. David Fincher, bill us.
Movie.
Let's talk about spoilers.
Right. I might as well just say now, I haven't actually watched the movie.
I knew you hadn't.
So
I knew you hadn't.
Because I'll watch it on Friday. It wasn't showing anywhere in Birmingham. It was once and it wasn't free to go. It's out on Friday. I will watch it and I'll give my thoughts on it. So what I was going to do was I got up ChatGPT and I was going to type in all your questions and give an answer. And so the first thing I asked was, what do you think of David Fincher's new film, The Killer? And it just said, I apologise, but my knowledge was last updated in 2022, so I don't have any information on it. So I'm really sorry. I knew we needed to record the podcast. I was going to watch it like yesterday and today. The nearest place it's showing is Dudley, and I don't want to drive all the way to Dudley to watch a film that's out on Friday.
Dudley sounds scary anyway, so I don't blame you at all.
It's
so welcome to our new segment called Joshua Reviews.
Sorry for betraying your trust. But it sounds like a good film.
Yeah, it's okay.
From what I've heard. The trailer was all right.
A lot.
But like, I do stand by the sentiment of it doesn't look like my cup of tea. But I will watch on Friday. Episode 5, I will say what I think.
It is a David Fincher film, but not one of his strongest films. I just don't think there's enough going on for it to be held to such a
I've heard barely anyone talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, all the rest of his films, apart from, I think there's one which I can't even really remember much about. And then every single other one he's ever done is like iconic.
Yeah.
Like one of the biggest movies ever. Yeah. And this doesn't seem to be that.
So this is his second feature in a 4-year exclusive deal with Netflix. So that's why it's been such a struggle to actually see it in the cinema. which is a shame because I think it does.
I do
warrant
like
seeing
how
in the cinema.
Netflix makes sure they do like some theatre release. But yeah, no, it is a shame. Like Killers of the Flower Moon, I'm very glad. I mean, that's Apple, but I'm very glad they still, even though they're a streamer, were like, I know people want to. There's an audience for this. Like, let's do it.
Definitely.
But this was really hard to see.
I think it definitely wore its inspirations on its sleeve. The first scene, which I'm sure you'll agree when you see it, is very Rear Window. So it's him overlooking this courtyard in Paris onto a hotel, because it's him sat there and zenning himself and getting ready for this hit. He does he looks into different windows and sees people having sex and people smoking and people going about their business. So it's very voyeuristic.
Maybe I'll watch this movie then. Yeah.
And it all sets it up. As I said, it's that monologue from the trailer. So he's kind of checking his heart rate. I very much got
the impression that would be the opening of the movie.
And he's like, you need to never be invested and your heart rate needs to be lower than 60 BPM, which at the end of the film, he's like
100.
Yeah, he's taken the Fitbit off and it's all personal and it's completely against what he verbally told us at the start of the film.
Yeah. Were they mentioned in the trailer like something like, I don't know, he had like a girlfriend or something, they did something too?
That's correct.
And so it's like, well, that's gonna make him be a better man by the end, I'm guessing.
So he's supposed to do this hit out on a French politician or something. But as he takes the shot, he's doing some kinky time with the dominatrix, and the dominatrix moves in the way, and she gets shot, so he misses. And it's the first time it's ever happened. But he's very calm, collected, and he goes back to his house in the Dominican Republic and finds that he's been broken into, and his girlfriend is in hospital. So that sets off his path of revenge, which is a very kind of American look at the story, especially in the lens of Le Samurai, which we'll talk about later. So then he has to track down, he goes to his lawyer and finds out who the hitmen were to find them, and he kills his lawyer and his assistant. And then he goes to the man in...
I haven't seen the movie.
man in Florida, like a big Kiwi guy, and kills him. And then he goes to Tilda Swinton, who's also one of the hitmen, and kills her in a scene, which is a very good scene, but I wish it was
right.
longer.
I will watch this on Friday, by the way. I know you're doing spoilers, but I will watch this eventually.
And finally, he scopes out, he finds out who put the hit out on him, and it's like an American billionaire kind of guy. And he does this whole kind of secret heist to get into his room. But it kind of, that's the only surprise in the film, the only subversion, is that, have you seen the film Pig? The Nicolas Cage.
I know the film. I haven't seen it. I've heard it's very good.
Very, very good. Which is like this but better, I would say. It's that revenge theme again. Whereas in Pig, his pig gets stolen. Is that
like John Wick? Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it was framed. That's how it's advertised as it's Nicolas Cage. He's a lonely man in the woods and his pig gets stolen. So watch him go and get revenge for his pig. But it's not that. It's not that at all. And the climax reflects it's not that. But the climax, this is very similar. He breaks into this billionaire's house and is why have you done this to me? Why have you hurt my girlfriend? And weird conversation, but doesn't kill him, which is a bit bizarre, as he has killed everyone else that's been linked to this up to the point of meeting the billionaire. So it is kind of a subversion, because you expect him to kill the guy, but he doesn't.
I don't, because I know how a 3-act structure works. So I wasn't expecting you to say that he killed. I was actually very much expecting you to say he didn't kill him. And I thought about it afterwards. I don't understand why he didn't kill him. I'm sure next week you can tell me your thoughts. That's how the third act works.
Yeah, but the third act is,
so they have to change their mind.
Is the climax to kill him to get revenge. That's the point of the film. That's like the John Wick structure,
I suppose. But if his character is about redemption,
it isn't about redemption, and that's what you'll see. It is purely revenge. And I don't know if he doesn't kill him because he is a professional hitman, and the guy, like the billionaire, is a client. Whether he's still being professional, wants to stay in that world.
That might be it.
I'm not too sure,
Well, I can't help you on that.
The performances were okay. I thought Fassbender didn't have a lot to do, as I'm sure you've seen in the trailer. He plays a very zen character who's very professional and like isn't fazed by anything. So it's kind of very
frozen.
I'm frozen.
You're back.
Sick.
You're back now.
and he was frozen in his performance as well. Like he doesn't blink on screen at all, and to kind of get that like unnerving, otherworldly
That's
kind of
what everyone does when they want to.
I know.
When they want to seem weird, they just don't blink.
I know, and you famously
works.
don't blink just naturally.
I only blink. I blink loads to make sure people trust me.
You just have your eyes closed the entire time.
Yeah, I don't even open them because I want people to know that I can. I don't want to stare at them. I don't want to be rude. If someone looks at me, I never look them in the eye. Quite often, keep my eyelids completely shut.
Yes, that's what he did. I thought he was very good at the physical side. I don't know how much of it was stuntman and how much of it was him, but
I don't think
like he sold the part, the weird serial killer bit. And I thought it was a very good. I know it's hard to do a modern take on like a hitman because he touches on it at the start. You're always seen by everyone, so it's not like in Le Samurai where you can just do a couple of train swaps and you're away from the police. You're being seen by everyone all the time, and I like that they address that in the first scene.
I don't like how in these movies no one ever wears disguises. I want to see like a movie like this where everyone's just in like mad disguises and you don't even recognise the same actor.
What, like,
and they never do that.
Like the mask you pull off in Mission Impossible.
Yeah, but like one that's actually in any way realistic.
like a Groucho Marx. Like big nose, moustache and glasses.
Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. But I want like, you know Tilda Swinton in Suspiria, which is an old man.
Yeah.
That's
like
what
that.
I want, a hitman who's like Tilda Swinton, but an old man. And then you're like, oh, there's this old man character just murdered someone. Oh, look, it's Tilda Swinton murdered someone. And then you're like, well, hang on a minute, this is the same person.
And then it's
That's
Tilda
what I want.
Swinton
I don't
in
just want
the Bob Dylan film. Was that her?
Yeah. No, it's Kate Blanchett.
Oh,
but like, that's what you need. Like, I don't like how in all Hitman movies and all these, like, and John Wick, like, he always fights in a suit. It doesn't make
like
sense. It's really hard to fight in suits. This is like, they have to look cool and, like, in a costume and all this. Like, the bloke in Le Samurai was the most suspicious looking man I've ever seen in my life, but he has to look cool in the Hitman costume.
Have you seen I Think You Should Leave?
I've seen the first episode. What you're referencing with the
one where he's doing
episode.
like a prank show, does some shit name, and he goes into a mall, and they're like, "Hey, go over to that table and knock over the tray of food." And he's just got so much like fake head, fake muscles, something like that. Maybe you just blend it in.
Yeah. I just want to see someone who is actually good at their job in one of these films. I don't want to see someone who just is there to look cool and whatever, because it's not cool. It's cool to sneak in somewhere and the audience doesn't even know where you are, and then whoa, you've killed someone. What? How's that happened?
Yeah.
Don't know.
It tries very hard to make Fassbender cool in this.
Yeah, well, I don't find people who kill people cool. I think they're bullies. I think that's quite mean of him.
I think they're squares.
I don't think we should be glamorising it.
This is Fassbender's first or most recent film that's been released since Dark Phoenix. What a shame.
Really?
Yeah.
Dark Phoenix was shit. That was like 2019. That was ages ago.
Well, I know the
Waititi
film was recorded, wasn't it? The football one, but that hasn't come out yet.
Oh, but that was filmed, like 5 years ago. And always a great sign when they take that long to release a film.
And you love football as well, so I know you'll be like our resident pundit when we watch it.
Yeah.
Did you see the game
I love
the other day, actually?
The ludicrous display. I did, yeah. Well, I did. Yeah, the trouble with Arsenal is they always try and walk it in.
What was Wenger thinking, bringing Walcott on in the 90th? Ludicrous.
Laugh.
But I think that's all I can talk about for The Killer. Anyway,
that's certainly all I can talk about.
I gave it 4 stars.
4 stars, well done. I will do a very brief review at the start of next episode.
That'll be your weekly roundup next week.
It will be. My weekly roundup will be The Killer. Right, I'm just going for a wee.